Well, the forecast says partly cloudy and 45 tonight. Wednesday, partly sunny and 71. Thursday, showers likely and 72. I'm Rick Schrepp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. hims.com/joy.
Healthcare.gov is here for you when life happens. If you lost your health coverage because of turning 26, going off Medicaid, leaving your job, or moving, you could be eligible to enroll in new coverage now. And if you need to update your coverage because of marriage or having a baby, you could also be eligible. But don't wait. There's a limited time to enroll. Check your eligibility at healthcare.gov today. Life happens. Get covered. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
A little bit of a slow start to the show, but we are off and rolling. We are off and rolling here on what, a Tuesday? Going up. It's a Kinner and Kev show. Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash. Mr. Kev Nash, welcome.
What up, though?
Oh, we got a fun show lined up today. You know, I know you're not a social media drama guy, but I thrive off of it. But this is one of those days where I know sometimes I'll put stuff out there that I'm like, okay, it's going to get around. Then there's other times where it's just my genuine opinion, and nothing pisses people off more than Kinner's genuine opinion. And we're going to get to that in a moment. Flyer fans, they're not big fans of me ever. They're definitely not fans of me today, but it's not necessarily my fault. I don't think they're not receiving. I must not have made my message clear when it comes to Daron Holmes and the A10 Co-Player of the Year award. We'll get to that coming up in a moment. We have a lot to dive into. Wanted to talk some college basketball today because we spent every hour of the show yesterday, which is not a bad thing, NFL free agency. And there's just as many headlines today circulating around the NFL as far as free agency is concerned. Kev Nash's Steelers continue to add. The Browns aren't really adding. They're just they're bringing guys back, which is very, very key. The Bengals, ever since I went on that rant yesterday about them not doing much, I kind of like the moves that they have made. I don't think that they're the biggest, sexiest moves out there, but I think that they have made – overall, I think the AFC North has been very interesting throughout free agency. The Ravens adding a big-name running back. The dynamic of that offense is going to be something to keep an eye on. We'll talk about that in a moment. The Reds earlier in the week. I mean, last week when we were on the air, towards the end of the Friday show, I missed it as we were going off the air. But Noelvi Marte is 80-game suspension for performance-enhancing drugs. And apparently when the Reds were getting Candelario and adding some depth to the middle infield, remember everyone, I know you're not a big Reds fan, but everyone was like, what are we doing? Like, why are we adding more? You're trying to trade Jonathan India, but then you add another middle infielder. Why don't you just keep Jonathan India instead of adding another middle infielder? Well, there's people believe that maybe the Reds knew that this was coming down for quite some time, and now that move kind of makes sense. But depth is a good thing. We'll get to that. David Bell named an opening day starter. I like the opening day starter. It's just not who I would have picked. I'll tell you why coming up around the corner. We got a lot to dive into here today. So, Kev, what do you want to open up with? I said we open up with the NFL, right? Is that what you were going to say? Is that what you're going to say?
Indeed.
That's what I thought. Patrick Queen.
Yeah, dog.
So the Steelers yesterday, the biggest move, I was laughing. So they did like a graphic of the money that every team in the NFL spent in free agency. And the Steelers were at the very, the Cowboys were dead last. They spent nothing yesterday. Yeah. The Steelers were second to last at $1.2 million. And I laughed because I'm like, that $1.2 million that they spent could end up being the most important $1.2 million spent over everyone yesterday. I know you're not completely sold on Russell Wilson, but the potential, the possible ceiling of what could come out of that is pretty insane because the Steelers are now spending like a team that, we have a quarterback. We have $5 million invested in our quarterback room. Let's not waste it. You know what would be bad if you're the Steelers is to do what you're doing and be like, I don't know what to expect with Russell Wilson. Let's just see what happens. Mm-hmm. I think what's worse is to not make many drastic moves and just hope he's good and then find out he's really, really good and you guys didn't do enough to elevate it. I'd rather not them do that as a Browns fan. But if I'm a Steelers fan, I'd rather them go balls to the wall, assuming that they can get Russell Wilson back to where he was. And if he doesn't, at least you tried from that perspective. Right. I like what the Steelers have done today, too. Again, defense, and more defense.
Yeah, I said this yesterday about the whole Russell Wilson contract situation. Obviously, $1.2 million for a former Super Bowl winning quarterback. He's 9 times in the Pro Bowl. I said that I want to see what they do in the rest of free agency because, like you said, when they're not spending a lot on their quarterback room, I mean, shoot, your potential starter is going to make more or less than your rookie quarterback. The punter that they signed, Cam Johnston, that looks like Bill Burr, he's making more than Russell, so they made the big splash and got Patrick Queen. And, Patrick Queen, elite inside linebacker. Think about it like this. Everybody follows this division that listens to this show. The Steelers have not had typical quote unquote Steelers middle linebacker play. They've had great outside linebacker play. Name is TJ Watt. Good outside linebacker play from Alex Highsmith, but they haven't had good to great inside linebacker play since Ryan Shazier broke his neck. Think how long ago that was. And they tried everything. They tried they tried free agency. They tried the draft. They drafted Devin Bush out of Michigan. He had a good first year, but slowly but surely, like his play fell off. He ultimately played for the Seahawks last year. They tried free agency. Holcomb from Washington, he came in, he played okay, then broke his leg. Landon Roberts, he's more of a thumper, but Patrick Queen can do it all. He can play the run and he can play the pass. And one of the biggest problems, especially last year for the Pittsburgh Steelers, was guarding the tight end. I said going into that playoff game versus the Buffalo Bills, it's like, hey, man, I'm not worried about Diggs. I'm not worried about Gabe Davis. I'm worried about both of those tight ends screaming down the middle. And the tight ends got us twice screaming wide down the middle. So now you add a Patrick Queen to there. You obviously hope that he eliminates some of that. So they're spending some money in a position of need with a veteran player that's only 26 years old. That's what you do when you have a lot of money to spend. You fill up that spot. Now we have some other spots like we need another cornerback. I would prefer to get a veteran cornerback instead of having a second-year player in Joey Porter Jr. and a rookie on the outside on the corners. So I would prefer a more veteran player. I'm not saying you go out there and spend, I don't know how much on Snead, but like maybe obviously Snead is the number one corner available, but maybe you get a second-tier corner for that spot. So I like this. No, matter of fact, scratch that. I love this addition for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
So here's where I'm going to be more critical of your Steelers than I will the other teams in the AFC North. Your team has no excuse to plug holes at this point. Now, if they plug holes and then Russell's not what I think he's capable of being, okay, fine. But the Ravens have put all their money into Lamar. The Steelers or the Bengals have put all their money into Joe Burrow and they're planning for Jamar Chase. Mm-hmm. And the Browns, well, they've spent a couple million here and there. They're having to operate around those roadblocks, those barriers. The Steelers have an opportunity here where I felt like the Steelers were falling behind everyone else. The opportunity here now is if they do have a quarterback, and Russell Wilson doesn't have to be MVP caliber to be good, or for the Steelers to be good, right? Like they've made the playoffs with Mason Rudolph. They made the playoffs with half Mason Rudolph, half Kenny Pickett. Like, I mean, 80-year-old Ben Roethlisberger, who was a shadow of himself, right? Like the Steelers don't have a hard time making the playoffs. It pisses me off, but that's just the reality of it, right? Like what Russell has the chance to do, as we talked about yesterday, is to take them to that next level. So the Steelers have an opportunity here to be super aggressive and to just spend money and go all out to go get some dudes. What's another move you want to see them make? Because now it's about making moves to better your roster, but also to counter what other teams in the AFC North are doing as well, because the Ravens just went and got Derrick Henry. And there was, talks, the Browns they were very aggressive today in shoring up their defensive line. When the talks of Derrick Henry going to Baltimore started to pick up, the Browns, the reason that they were kind of hesitant to bring back some of these guys is they were trying to see how aggressive they needed to be with their D-line in case, something like this happened, but they couldn't risk those other guys going away. So they get a deal done with Hurst. They get a deal done bringing back, some of these other guys that we'll talk about in a moment. What are some moves that you think the Steelers need to do to counter what the Bengals are doing, to counter what the Browns and the Ravens are doing? Because they're bettering their defense like they always do, but there has to be some kind of reactionary move out there. Is there one?
I'm not sure. Obviously, we need a safety as well. We need a strong safety, but DeMonte KZ, he was suspended for half the season, hurt the other half of the season. I would like to see them grab Jordan Whitehead. That's a quality safety out there. That's a thumper. But whoever the best center available, whoever that may be out there, or whoever is the top tier corner, those are the positions of need. You're going to be able to get a center in the draft. If it's the kid from West Virginia, if it's the kid from Oregon, I'm not going to sit here and act like I know center play. I'm going to go off what the experts tell me. They tell me that these are the top 3 centers in the draft. Get me one of those 3.
Yep.
Just like, we were actually started doing the show when I was talking about Creed Humphrey out of Oklahoma. He was the 2nd-rated center on the board. He went in the 2nd round to the Kansas City Chiefs. He's got him a fistful of jewelry now.
You a Sooner fan?
I am. Boomer Sooner. Spring game coming up soon. I might have to go out there. But anyway, also, I would like to grab Jerome Baker. Like, let's keep adding depth, because that's the thing about the NFL. Every team goes through injuries. Every team has injuries. It's just a matter of where those injuries happen. You got to have depth. You got to have quality depth behind your starters. A lot of teams out there are very top heavy. Like, oh man, they got stars at this position, this stars at that position. But when those stars start to go down, what are you going to do? What's going to happen then? So I'm looking for them to, hey man, can you call Simmons? Can you call Justin Simmons and see if he's willing to come to the Pittsburgh Steelers and be, starting next to Minka Fitzpatrick? Is that a possibility? I would like to see them continue to make splash plays or splash signings during this free agency period, since you only spend like $6 million on your whole quarterback room.
Yeah, and again, the AFC North additions, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they had Patrick Queen, they had Cameron Johnson, and they get Russell Wilson, of course, and they're not done yet. The obviously free agency continues, and the Steelers are also an organization at times that also they kind of sit back. They let everyone go get the expensive free agents, and then sometimes guys that you think are going to make a lot of money end up not being picked up, and then their value drops, and they end up going to get guys like that. So the Steelers have a chance to keep adding in free agency, and you still got the draft coming up. The Ravens, who were quiet yesterday, made a big splash. When was that announced? Late last night or today? Everything's bleeding into one another, but it doesn't matter, because regardless of when it was announced.
Derrick Henry?
Yeah.
Today.
Okay.
We were in our meeting.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Which one? So Derrick Henry going to the Baltimore Ravens. I have to say, so I want to say this is a big deal, but I don't know. Everyone, like, I feel like this should strike fear into you as a Steelers fan, me as a Browns fan. And I'm like, I don't know. I respect Lamar. I respect what the Ravens can do, but I don't know if this strikes fear in me. The Vegas odds, they show the Vegas odds, the Ravens Super Bowl odds to win the Super Bowl before, and the Ravens odds to win the Super Bowl after the addition of Derrick Henry, and it stayed the exact same.
Right.
I think all this does is, well, for one, he's a mega power. We know that.
Right.
How much gas is left in the tank? I still think there's quite enough to have to respect that run game, but it's one of the best run games in football, although carried by the quarterback usage. I think this benefits Baltimore because they could put a lot more wear and tear. I think they're going to treat Derrick Henry like a rental car. I think they're going to run him into the ground. I think that I don't know how long they signed him for.
2 years.
2 years. I'm running him into the ground. You got to prolong Lamar. You got to stop. I mean, Lamar, I get it's a cool stat. Oh, he leads the league as a quarterback in rushing. I don't want my quarterback running unless he absolutely has to. And I think that needs to be the message. Hey, we don't need to always pick up the ground or pick up yards with your legs. We have the legs and the calves and the shoulders and the feet and the abdomen and the huge cranium of Mr. Derrick Henry here. I think that could balance out some of that and take some of the wear and tear off of Lamar so that he's not exhausted by the end of the season. Outside of that, I don't know if this changes who Baltimore is. I still think they're just a hard-hitting physical team with the finesse of Lamar in the open field. I don't know how much this changes them, but you still have to respect Derrick Henry, no doubt.
You traded basically Gus Edwards for Derrick Henry.
In the 2 games a year of J.K. Dobbins.
Right. So obviously Derrick Henry is a better player than Gus Edwards. And all right, if Gus Edwards is getting 3.5 yards per carry, you're expecting King Henry to go ahead and get you 6 yards per carry. You get the battering ram. So you're just going to get this more physical run game. I mean, Gus was already a physical running back, but now you have probably the most physical running back in the game. And the I'm totally forgetting his name. The rookie running back that they had last year that tore his ACL, they're expecting him to make a full recovery. He's one of the fastest running backs in the league.
Keaton Mitchell.
Yes, there you go. Keaton Mitchell. So they're trying to have that be the 1-2 punch in the backfield. And then you add Lamar to that. The best thing that the Ravens did last year was they didn't do a whole bunch of zone read last year. They kind of kept that in their back pocket until they quote unquote needed it. And needed games like versus San Francisco, like versus Miami, and in that first round of the playoffs, that's when Lamar started really using his legs. And this, I think, further puts that on display. Like, all right, now we're going to go ahead and use these other weapons around him to run the ball as opposed to letting him use his legs. I love the move if I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan. I mean, like I said, you're trading out Derrick Henry for Gus Edwards.
And how could you not love it if you're a Ravens fan? If the Bengals picked him up, they'd let anyone who
right,
exactly. Now I see like Sean, some others are chiming in, saying that Henry is already washed and all this. Look, last year, I'm looking at this now just for reference, but he had more carries than any running back in the NFL last year, and he was second in total yards on the season. His yards per carry down from his career average of 4.7 to 4.2, but I'll take 4.2. 4.2 is still top 10 in yards per carry, so I'll take that. Look, Derrick Henry, I don't expect him to be what he was 2 years ago, and last year was still pretty dang good. And that's the thing. He had to be Derrick Henry. This is the wild thing. He had to be Derrick Henry. I guarantee you he won't be second in carries this upcoming season. Not because he's washed up, but because I think Lamar is going to take care of a lot of the rushing attempts as well. They're going to be a balanced run team to where Tennessee, it was Derrick Henry. That was
right.
That's it. The only weapon that Tennessee had was Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is now going to a team where he is not the only weapon. And so his carries are going to drop. His yards may drop, but I think you're actually going to see, because he'll be fresher later in the year, they're going to see his yards per carry actually slightly increase, even if it's not to his career average of 4.7, which is almost a half first down a carry for a battering ram like him. So I don't think he's washed up, and they got him for what, $6 million?
2 years, I want to say 16 mil, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
16 mil. So
I thought either way, it was a number that, I'm thinking of the Cowboys with another running back that we'll talk about here in a moment. The Bengals get a big pickup at running back as well. Some, news out of there. So you're right on that. I was getting the running backs mixed up. I like Derrick Henry to Baltimore. I just don't know. Like I said, even Vegas, they were, their Super Bowl odds stayed the exact same after acquiring him. We'll see what else the Ravens do. They also lost their safety, who the Bengals picked up yesterday in Stone.
Yeah. For Derrick Henry, I'm not sure what people mean by washed. I mean, Derrick Henry and Christian McCaffrey may be the last running backs to make the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Like, think about that. The way the sport is going, those two guys may be the last running backs to ever make the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And washed, 1,100 yards rushing, 12 touchdowns. The year before that, 1,500 yards, 13 touchdowns. The year before that, only played in 8 games, 900 yards, 10 touchdowns. The year before that, 2,000 yards and 17 touchdowns. Like, yes, he's 30 years old, but the fall off, I don't see the fall off coming like the fall off came with like a Emmitt Smith, where it was like, oh man, Emmitt Smith is breaking the all-time rushing record, and then next year he's playing for the Cardinals and barely getting over 2 yards a carry. Like, I just don't see that happening with Derrick Henry. And let's not forget, like, Baltimore has one of the best offensive lines in the NFL.
Ryan Roth says, you are assuming Lamar is healthy. We could put that to bed. Last year, what do you mean by that, Bengals fans? What do you mean by that, Ryan? I don't understand. Like, we got to assume Lamar. You got to assume Joe Burrow is healthy. I mean, again,
you got to assume Russell is healthy. You got to assume that Mahomes is healthy. You got to assume that Dak is healthy. You can assume any and every player is healthy in the NFL. Like, I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean. If you could elaborate.
I mean, remember, this is the stat that was wild. Is Joe Burrow has missed more games since 2020 than Lamar has. Like, Joe Burrow is more injury prone than Lamar Jackson. I know that's not the perception, but that's the reality. That's why it fascinates me when Bengals fans chirp about that. I'm like, hold up, where's that energy with your injury prone quarterback? But we'll get to the Bengals in a moment. As far as the Cleveland Browns are concerned, we talked about the addition of Jerry Jeudy yesterday. Jerry Jeudy to me is an even bigger addition because of what little you gave up to get him. You know, you give up a 5th and a 6th round to get him, and he only cost about $12 million a year. I'm fine. That's a huge addition to a receiving core that just needed depth. They were a very good passing team last year when obviously you had Deshaun and when you had Joe Flacco. But, nonetheless, they add Jordan Hicks at linebacker. Okay, whatever, that's fine. They get Naheem Hines, who was, I guess, the special teams coach for the Browns. I guess used him a lot, special teams over with the Colts before and had a lot of success there.
Swiss Army knife.
But what the Browns did today, it goes back to something, Kev, you were right about something about the Joe Flacco situation in Cleveland. The Browns they go out and they add a backup quarterback to their roster. And I can't believe I'm this annoyed about a backup quarterback. I like Jameis Winston. I think that Jameis Winston should actually be the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. And why the hell they went for Sam freaking Darnold, who is a backup quarterback, to be a starter over Jameis, who proved he could be a starting quarterback at times. The problem is that the stuff coming out about the Browns not even looking at Joe Flacco.
Mm-hmm.
That they didn't even look at Joe Flacco. They didn't even offer him.
Right.
They weren't even willing to offer him. They went straight to Jameis Winston. And they were worried about, and they said that they were worried about Joe Flacco's turnover issues. So you go to ESPN's 30 for 30, 30 touchdowns. The last time that Jameis was a full-time starter in the league, and I should say, no, I think he started for the Saints a year since then. But when he was with the Bucks, 30 touchdowns, threw for almost 5,000 yards, but also threw 30 interceptions. Like, he was a turnover machine. Those numbers came down when he was a starter last, but they kind of boxed him in a bit. I don't know why I'm so annoyed. I think he could be very good as a backup, and I'm hoping that we don't even have to talk about him. If we don't even talk about him all season, that is a good thing. But the way things have trended since Deshaun's got here, then that may not be the case. My problem with Cleveland is this: wondering if Joe Flacco or him is going to be the best option. You know Joe Flacco, what he did last year. You know what he's capable of doing. You know the rapport he has with that QB room, with those wide receivers, with that team. You saw it. I think it's absolutely insanely stupid of the Cleveland Browns to go the route that they did. I do not like the move because, especially when I found out, it's one thing if they tried to get him and he didn't want to go to Cleveland. He was dropping it left and right. He wanted to go back to Cleveland, and they go the direction of Jameis Winston. But it's a theory that you threw out a while back that could be why they didn't go after Joe Flacco.
Yeah, it's not the locker room. I think that coach can handle the locker room. I think the players can handle the situation of Joe Flacco. I don't think the fans can handle it. I mean, no matter what we look at with Deshaun Watson, no matter how good he plays versus, the Baltimore Ravens, and he balled out of control, especially in that second half for the Cleveland Browns and helped him win. He misses games, and he's had, for lack of a better word, an up and down tenure with the Cleveland Browns. Let it start down again. People are going to be wanting Joe Flacco. Look, man, I may not be a Browns fan, but Cleveland is my hometown. I know how the Cleveland fan base reacts when things aren't going their way. And I'm not sure how it works in other cities, but I know for sure that the fan base sways opinions of coaches, of ownership. They get on that ESPN radio up there in Cleveland with Goldhammer and Uncle Rizzy. They let their voice be heard, and rabbit ears. The ownership and the people at the front office for the Browns start listening. So they wanted to remove that distraction, that potential distraction. For Joe Flacco, I think this is perfect for him. Sit on the sidelines again. You put your resume out there last year. Don't sign with anybody to be a backup. Look, man, this is the NFL. Somebody's going to get hurt. I'm not hoping it on anybody out there or anybody's team.
The Bengals are going to need a quarterback.
But somebody's going to need him to come in. Somebody. It could be the Steelers. It could be the Bengals. It could be the Chargers. It could be the Rams. It could be anybody out there. Somebody's going to need a quarterback to come in about August when somebody's quarterback gets hurt for the season, and they're going to dial him up. It may not even be in August. It may be when the Browns called him in late September, early October. Dial him up. He showed he was able to come off the couch and win a lot of games with the Cleveland Browns. Other fan bases and other teams are going to say, well, shoot, he did it for the Browns. Maybe he can do it for us. I mean, think about what the Minnesota Vikings went through last year. We talk about our teams all the time with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns playing through quarterbacks. So did the Minnesota Vikings.
Yep.
They rolled out there with Kirk Cousins. They rolled out there with Dobbs. They rolled out there with you. They rolled out there with me. They rolled out there with Shaw. They had everybody taking snaps at quarterback. This happens across the league. Look at what happened with the Jets. Aaron Rodgers, Zach Wilson, their backup. Then the other guy. Then back to Zach Wilson. He's going to get a phone call in August or October. Somebody's going to ring his bell. He'll be perfectly fine.
Man, I mean, the tides changed quickly. It went from, he went from fans pushing that he should be the starting quarterback to not even being the backup quarterback. And by the way, like, if Joe Flacco had ever happened and Jameis is named the backup quarterback, I probably wouldn't be as down on it. It's really less to do with Jameis and more to do with not going to get Joe Flacco because it worked. But, a lot of it is Deshaun Watson, season-ending injury. He comes back, throws an interception, turns it over.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. I don't think there's as much noise with Winston on the sideline as Flacco if he's on the sideline.
Because you saw it. You saw it with your own eyes. If you're Joe Flacco, what would you do? Would you have accepted a backup position with the Cleveland Browns, or would you basically held out or tried to see if there was any starting opportunities available or hold out until like October?
I mean, it sounded like all these reports coming out that his camp was letting it be known he wants to go back to Cleveland. At the Combine, his camp was letting Cleveland know he wanted to come back. They didn't even entertain it. So that's what's wild. I agree with you. Sit back and wait. A year ago at this time, the idea of Joe Flacco leading the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs and not just doing that. Flacco's numbers would have been MVP worthy had he been doing that. If let's say he comes in at week 4, he's at least in the discussion, right? So there's going to be a situation that opens up that we're not even talking about. What happens if Patrick Mahomes goes down? Joe Flacco head to Kansas City.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the Bengals, in all seriousness, I know everyone likes what they have with their backup quarterback, but you mean to tell me after what you saw from Joe Flacco last year, you wouldn't want to give him T. Higgins and Jamar Chase for a season? Like, let's just be real. Like, he's going to get an opportunity. But to your point, even if Cleveland was offering it to him, why jump in bed now? Just wait.
Wait it out.
It'll be a hotter chick coming later. Like, you never know.
It's going to be a starting job out there somewhere.
So it's a Kinner and Kev show here on 1410 ESPN Radio. The Cleveland Browns, they retained the likes of Zadarius Smith, Mo Hurst, Shelby Harris, just committed to come back. Committed like we're talking college. Agreed to come back to Cleveland again.
For the next 3 to 4 years.
Yeah. Hell, not even in college anymore. But
for the next 6 to 8 months.
The Browns bringing back the number 1 defense in the NFL and getting all their heavy hitters back is a huge deal. We'll talk about that. And then Joe Mixon went from being cut to traded. Joe Mixon goes from playing with Joe Burrow now to C.J. Stroud, from an LSU Tiger quarterback to a Buckeye quarterback. How about that?
Buck out of Buckeye.
We'll be right back. Let's talk a little Bengals football coming up. I also want to talk Dayton Flyers basketball. Daron Holmes. Love Daron Holmes. The fans are driving me nuts, though, with the crying about the having to share the Co-Player of the Year award. We got that. The Reds, the suspension for obviously one of their top middle infielders we'll talk about, the opening day starter. We got a ton still to get into here on today's show. It's the Kinner and Kev Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. We'll be right back.
The national championship of college basketball on Frickers TVs. You'll savor the flavor of 3 Frickers street tacos. Frickin' chicken tacos, grilled chicken tacos, and Mississippi barbecue tacos are back for a limited time. While your brackets get busted, smash a personal pitcher of domestic draft for only $6.99. Hurry before time runs out at the home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Frickers.
By now, you should know Audio Etc. has all the same sales and deals on TVs and projectors as everyone else. But did you know we also have some of the world's best hi-fi? Hi, this is Kirby from Audio Etc. And we do have some of the best home theater, high-fidelity gear on the planet. Not only do we have your favorite brands like Clip speakers and SVS subwoofers, but audiophile greats from Bowers & Wilkins, Kef, NAD, Marantz, Cambridge, Mark Levinson, and plenty of vinyl and tube gear. Plus exotics you only see in the magazines. Stop by today and visit Audio Etc's crazy cool showroom and see and audition the best audio and video has to offer. While you're in, check out our huge selection of pre-owned vintage gear, a great way to afford great gear otherwise out of reach, or revisit old classics. Audio Etc. Sound advice you can trust. Audio Etc. 551 Congress Park Drive at the corner of Paragon in Centerville, or call 434-9770.
Audio Etc's crazy cool showroom.
Jessica, this is the happiest day of my life. Right up there with the day I bought my RV and insured it with Progressive. Man, I love that thing. There are a million fish in the sea, which I'm reminded of every time I bring my RV to the lake, but I vow to love and cherish you just as much as I cherish campsites with full electric and water hookups. I'm so sorry.
Protect your beloved with an RV policy from Progressive. Take as little as 4 minutes to see what you could save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
It's Kubota Orange Days, your golden opportunity to score a deal that'll make your neighbors green with envy. Shop the year's best selection of Kubota tractors, zero-turn mowers, and utility vehicles, including the #1 selling compact tractor in the USA. And get the year's best deals, like 0% APR for 84 months and up to $2,500 off BX23S tractors.
Stop by Columbus Equipment in Columbus, Dayton, or Toledo to see our full line of Kubota construction equipment, or check us out online at columbusequipment.com.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency on earth, and if you owe back taxes, the news isn't good. The IRS is raising the interest rate it charges on unpaid taxes, and further rate hikes are expected. Most people don't know it, but the IRS adds interest charges to your tax debts daily. So if you owe the IRS today, you'll owe even more tomorrow. And it doesn't stop until you get right with the IRS. The good news is getting right can start with one phone call to Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm. Optima's tax professionals specialize in the Fresh Start Initiative, a powerful IRS program that can save you thousands if you qualify. In fact, the experts at Optima have resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Don't get stuck gearing up for spring while everyone else is enjoying the warm weather. Invisible Fence brand works in any season, giving your pet the freedom they deserve. Now, visit InvisibleFence.com to learn more.
Imagine it's the final game of the season, but your symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, are making a comeback. What should you do? Keep managing your constipation with belly pain the same old way? Or try getting ahead of your symptoms by talking to your doctor about Linzess, linaclotide. Linzess is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually.
Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling.
Imagine, what could relief from IBS-C mean for you? Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ziprecruiter.com/free. That's ziprecruiter.com/free. ziprecruiter.com/free.
Hungry for a great time? Maybe some great food? Then come on down to your neighborhood Submarine House. Try our oven-toasted deli subs, our mouth-watering salads, pizzas, appetizers, and more. And wash them down with a unique selection of craft beers while watching the big game on our big screens. With locations around Dayton, in Columbus, and our newest sports bar in Kettering, you're never far from a Submarine House. Subs, sports, spirits. Submarine House.
Whether we're in your home for a new McAfee installation, a scheduled maintenance, or a repair, you can count on McAfee to do what we say we'll do when we say we'll do it. We care about the services we provide and the products we install in your home, tailor-fitting our work to your family's needs through the entire process. We stand behind what we do, and we're proud to put our name on it. Breathe easy, choose McAfee, or have a cow.
The Big Hoopla Free STEM Challenge returns to the Dayton Convention Center Sunday, March 17th. Experience the passion for college basketball and the power of STEM education. Enjoy award-winning science entertainer Mr. C, performances by Eric Energy, and compete in the basketball hot shot to win prizes. K through 8th graders may pre-register for the Free STEM Challenge championed by Wright State University at DaytonHoopla.com. It's the Big Hoopla Free STEM Challenge, Sunday, March 17th.
Menards is your home improvement destination. We've got everything you need for your projects, from ceiling to floor. Why settle for a plain ceiling when Menards carries stylish and durable ceiling tile options? Armstrong ceiling tiles offer a variety of styles that are easy to install and add a great new look to your home. Get started today at Menards and head to menards.com to check out all of the great deals going on in our weekly flyer.
Save big money at Menards.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. 518-1410. 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. We'll get to your responses and your phone calls coming up here in just a few moments. All right. So we went through the AFC North, and we kind of combed through some of the big moves made in free agency thus far. I think right now nothing's broke during the commercial break, right, Kevin?
Nope.
We're good?
Nope.
Shocker. Things are slowing down a little bit. Things are slowing down a little bit nonetheless. But so we talked about, of course, Kevin Nash's Steelers. Yes, they get Russell Wilson, but they also made a big move on the defensive side of the ball a little bit ago, adding the likes of a Patrick Queen, Cameron Johnston, in addition as well. The Ravens make a big addition, and Derrick Henry. The Browns, we talked about the addition of Jerry Jeudy yesterday, and the impact that can have on this team right now. Of course, just adding more depth to that wide receiver room. Jordan Hicks, another linebacker. They lose Taki and some other guys too to the Patriots. The Patriots have loaded up on some guys. They get Jacoby Brissett, by the way, solid bridge quarterback. Signed him to a 1-year deal.
Back again.
But the Browns also, it's not free agent additions. It's, to me, what they're doing that's standing out more than most of the rest of the NFL or most of the AFC North right now is the fact that they were able to get some of their key pieces back to help secure the number one defense in the NFL from last year. They retain Zadarius Smith. They get him on a 2-year deal. Mo Hurst comes back. Shelby Harris is big. Shelby Harris, has a lot of those DJ Reader responsibilities, responsible for stopping the run. Of course, that's going to be big and key, especially with Derrick Henry in the league and the Bengals upgrading at running back. That's going to be key as well. So I like what the Browns have done thus far. They haven't made any big splashy moves. Obviously they get the backup quarterback. I like that they didn't wait to get the backup quarterback this time. They were kind of soft on that last year, and it almost bit them in the ass. And if it wasn't for Joe Flacco bailing them out for the final, 6-7 games of the season or whatever, would have been a different story. So as far as that's concerned, the Browns, not a flashy offseason thus far, but I think it's kind of a dull flash because I love what they've done, bringing back all the pieces that helped make them the number one defense in the league last year. I think that's going to be key, especially because they were able to keep the defensive coordinator in Jim Schwartz.
Retention. We heard that term a ton with Ohio State during the transfer portal, and guys potentially going to the NFL, getting their guys to come back. And that's key. You want to take care of the guys that took care of you on the field last year and kind of reward them. But most importantly, you don't want them going to another team, especially in the Baltimore Ravens situation, where one of their starting middle linebackers is now not only not with them, but they're with the Steelers. And then their starting safety that was an all-pro is with the Cincinnati Bengals. So not only are you losing them, you're losing to guys in your division. So you're going to have to see those guys twice a season. So they know your defense inside and out. They know your situation inside out. That's a bad spot for the Baltimore Ravens to be losing 2 starters to guys or to teams that's in your division.
It is wild how guys like to, they want to go up against when they feel like, oh man, that team didn't want me, well, I'll show them.
Right.
Well, you can go to the opposite conference and show them, or you could just not just stay in the same conference, but stay in the same division and show them twice a year. And that's why a lot of this stuff happens the way that it does. Like, for instance, like Bengals are lucky that if they do move on from T. Higgins, they can control where he goes, because I have a feeling that T. Higgins, he would pick a team in the AFC North to stick it to the Bengals if he had the opportunity to do so. So that's what's going to be interesting as well. Speaking of the Cincinnati Bengals, as we sit here right now, they made yesterday, Geno Stone was the big addition that they made yesterday. It wasn't the flashiest, but they didn't have to spend a lot of money to get him. Like, he's only going to cost $6-7 million a year. They're not spending a lot to get, arguably, at least from a statistical standpoint, a top 5 safety in football. So that worked out pretty well. And he kind of emerged onto the scene last year. And he was a big time special teams player the year before, and then emerged as a big time, safety for the Ravens last year. So big addition for the Bengals in that back end to kind of replace Von Bell from 2 years ago. And we'll see what happens, of course, with Dax Hill and the development of him heading into year 2. But they also have at tight end. And I always mispronounce his last name, so I'll let you fill in to save me here. But Gesicki. They go and they add another key tight end, and Gesicki, of course, Drew Sample, they add yesterday as well. They get him to an extension. I think what the Bengals are doing is basically just they're tightening that up, basically telling fans, can we just shut the hell up about Brock Bowers, because we're not getting Bowers. Even if he's sitting there at 18, we are not getting Bowers. I think that reality settled in with that addition. Your thoughts on that addition for the Cincinnati Bengals?
Good addition, but it's a better contract. It's a 1-year deal. So if Gesicki is there, they can still take him and be like, all right,
Bowers still there, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
if Bowers is there, they can still draft him, and they can go ahead and cut Gesicki because they only signed him to a 1-year deal. So they leave themselves a lot of flexibility.
Okay, so maybe it's a different angle. So
and if he's not there, they have that spot already taken care of. But I think they're going to go defense in the first round. I think there's a lot of good defenders out there. They can get, I don't know, maybe a Jeremiah Trotter out of Clemson, middle linebacker. Maybe they're going to need a corner because of what Awuzie signed with the Titans. So they're going to need a corner. So maybe they go free agency, or maybe they go rookie at corner early in the draft. But yeah, I think they leave themselves a lot of wiggle room to say, like, all right, if this happens, we can do this. If this happens, we can do this.
So, and again, free agency is not done. The Bengals still have a lot more money to spend. I am curious of the money that they have to spend. Like, they're not thinking about the rollover money, as we talked about yesterday. The Bengals will not spend every dime that they have. So I don't care about everyone that says, well, they have a ton of cap space. They do. But the cap space is not just used for this offseason, for this upcoming season. There's benefits to rolling over some of it to next year, especially now that you've paid Joe Burrow. Some of that money could be rolled over to offset some of that, which is what a lot of teams practice that as far as how they handle the cap in that regard. So they add Geno Stone on the defense. Obviously, Gesicki too. I looked at that as a white flag of saying, hey, we're not going to get Bowers. But to your point, good point. Didn't think of it like this. It could just be, hey, if Bowers is there, we'll take him.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're not married to this tight end long term. And if he ends up being taken before he gets to us, well, we're pretty set there as well. I don't think this is as big a deal. Like, this is a good addition, because even if they don't get Brock Bowers, if T. Higgins plays this year, they're not going to be a tight end centric offense. I think next year they're going to put the priority on trying to go get a tight end, because going to spend good money on an elite tight end is going to be significantly cheaper than having to go pay an elite wide receiver. So I think that's something that they'll worry about later, which is why I think it's dangerous to not take Bowers if he's right there, because who knows what the tight end market's going to look like next year's draft as far as that's concerned. But let's talk about what they did at running back.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday, of course, and Jay Morrison, who we had on the show, by the way. So Joe Mixon refuses to do any interviews with Jay Morrison.
Right.
Jay Morrison and quite a Kelsey Conway. Bengals fans, you owe Kelsey Conway an apology, because You got
scolding them with the finger, Kenner.
I like Kelsey Conway. She does a great job, and the reason I like her, I guess she used to be a Ravens reporter, and then she came over to cover the Cincinnati Bengals. And bless her heart, she is not a Bengals fan. She is just a professional reporter that is just doing her job. So that means if she has to report something that you don't like, she doesn't give a damn. She's going to report it. And she's not going to do the goofy stuff you see some of the other guys do. Oh, man, we're going to release Joe Burrow's top 5 Nike T-shirts he likes to wear on Tuesdays when the sun is out after, I don't know, drinking the day before. I mean, I don't know. It's the most random stuff that they put out. She put out there a year ago that about the T. Higgins thing and the Joe Mixon thing. Bengals fans crucified her. You're a hater. You want to see bad things happen to this team. And she's like, no. There were reports last year the Bengals were ready to cut Joe Mixon and move on. Oh, you're wrong. He re-signed with them. He had to take a pay cut or they were going to cut him. She was still right. If he didn't take that pay cut, he would have been gone. T. Higgins, she just about a month or two ago put out there that, hey, by the way, the Bengals have had zero conversation with T. Higgins about an extension. Oh, she's hating because, superfan Zimmy or whatever puts out that T. Higgins is close to getting a deal done because apparently chatboard warriors out there know more than the actual professional reporters that cover the team. Jay Morrison did the same thing. Jay's a professional. He's not fanboy media. He does a great job. That's why I like Jay. That's why he appreciates me too. That's why he comes on the show, Kev, because the other guys won't talk to me. Fanboys media won't talk to non-fan boy Kinner over here as far as that's concerned. So anyways, apologize to Conway because she was right. Just throwing that out there. But Mixon put Jay Morrison on the ban list. Will not do any interviews. Will not talk to him. Will not, any of that stuff because Jay was doing the same thing last year as Kelsey Conway was reporting about the stuff that was going on with Mixon. Well, the Bengals ultimately cut and move on from Mixon until they ended up trading him today because now that they traded him, there's no cap hit against them at all.
Right.
So it was a smart move to trade him as far as that's concerned. He's not going to the Houston Texans. So what was a bigger deal? The fact that they finally moved on from Joe Mixon, Kev, or the fact that they replaced him with Zach Moss? Zach Moss was kind of a popular name being floated out. The Browns really were looking at Moss. The Cowboys were looking at Moss. But apparently the Cowboys wanted to get a really good running back and not spend any money. I don't think a really good running back for $4 million a year is that much money, and that's what the Bengals spent to get him. And the Cowboys said that's too much money for us. What the hell's wrong with you, Cowboys? This is what the quarterback. It's a lot of money. It hurts you. Your thoughts on Moss going to the Cincinnati Bengals? Zach Moss, the replacement for Joe Mixon, who was a part of the second worst running game in football last year.
One, the Dallas Cowboys are showing their hand. They're going to be drafting a running back very high, maybe probably like second round in the NFL draft. To the Cincinnati Bengals with Zach Moss. Good back. Nothing, oh my gosh, about. It's not, I'll put him on the same level as maybe a Tony Pollard, like that level of a running back. I don't think he's on the level of an Eckler or Derrick Henry of that caliber of running back, or a Travis Etienne, even though he's not a free agent. But it's a solid replacement. I don't think they should be done. I think they should be looking to potentially upgrade that position in the draft. I know I said they should probably go defense in the first round, but shoot, running backs normally go in the second or third round. I'm sure there'll be a good running back out there. Maybe Jonathan Brooks from Texas will be available in the second round or third round for them. So yeah, I would look at running back in the second or third round for the Cincinnati Bengals because you're going to get more of an explosive bang for your buck. Zach Moss, this is like his third or fourth team. Like I believe he started with the Bills, then went to the Colts, and now he's with the Baltimore Ravens.
So with that being said, this is I know some are, and I'm not hating here. I think this is a good move. With the Bengals right now, because they have so many holes to fill, there's not one move that they're going to make that you're going to say, all right, all their problems are solved. So I'm going to do something that I didn't do yesterday. I'm just going to sit back and wait. Because just because they sign him, it doesn't mean that they're done. You're right. They're probably looking to draft. For right now, the Bengals get an incomplete. I like what they added on the defensive side with Stone yesterday. But again, the second worst defense in the NFL last year, Stone doesn't make you top 10 defense. One play, you know what I mean? Like they need to make other additions. In fact, they're probably losing DJ Reader, right? They're losing some pieces. They're losing more pieces than adding at this point. So, but we're not done yet. So right. And Bengals fans are probably mad at me because they need me to overreact. Because every time I overreact, something happens. So I'm not falling for it this time. I am actually going to compliment the Bengals and be patient, and then nothing happens, and then I win. So that's how I'm gonna do that reverse psychology with how to approach this. Nonetheless, second worst run game in the NFL, second worst defense in the NFL, and they made two big moves in the first day and a half of free agency to address both of those. Keep in mind, It's not just going to get Moss to rush for 1,000 yards. Joe Mixon was a 1,000-yard rusher last year. They still were not an efficient run team. They don't need to be top 10. They need to be top 15-ish in that regard. They need to at least be a threat to some degree with the run game. No one respected their run game last year, and that's going to be the key. Moss being back there I don't think is going to make people fear their run game, but they have to go get somebody to respect. I mean, you got a division right now, Najee Harris. I mean, they're not just Najee. I mean, your running back room is very solid.
Warren, yeah.
It's a good combination right there. You look at Nick Chubb, and then the Browns are going to add a running back as well at some point. I mean, they're looking at running backs in the draft as well. Doesn't mean that they're going to draft a good one, but Ford wasn't bad. The Browns were still a top 10 rushing team. They lost Nick Chubb in week 2. That dirty ass play. No, they were a top 10 rushing team last year without Nick Chubb for the majority of the season. Like, you don't need a Nick Chubb. You don't need a Derrick Henry. You don't need a big, sexy name to be back there. That's why I don't mind this move by Zach Moss in the Bengals. They just need to complement it, as you said. They need to add a different style back to kind of complement one another. The run game has to be a point of emphasis. I know they don't value it because it's all about the pass game, but like I said, I don't care if Joe Burrow's healthy last year. Second versus run game, second versus defense. I don't care how good Joe Burrow is. They weren't going to get to where fans expected them to heading into last season.
Yeah, and the age gap between Moss and Joe Mixon isn't there. I mean, Joe Mixon is going to be 28 in July. Moss is going to be 27 this upcoming December. But the thing about it is miles and usage. Like, Zach Moss didn't get as many touches, as many carries in college or in the pros that Joe Mixon has gotten with the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, I'm looking at, Zach Moss during his time with the Buffalo Bills. He spent 2.5 years with Buffalo, never had a start. He didn't get his first start until 2022 when he was with the Colts. And he's only started 11 games in his 4-year career. So, it's about the mileage that he has on his legs. So maybe this upcoming season with the Cincinnati Bengals, this will be the year he kind of explodes, because his highest rushing total was this 800 yards that he had this past season with the Colts in 8 starts.
Pass block, run block, I know that matters, but it is very ironic that the Bengals have their best offensive line in about 10 years, and that was their least efficient rushing season. When they've had historically bad offensive lines, that's when Joe Mixon was a top 5 running back in the NFL. It's just wild how that works. You know what I mean? So the Bengals offensive line is pretty solid, but obviously they were brought in with one responsibility, and that's protect Joe Burrow. And that is, pass block, to the point to where, whether it's I had Willie, I don't think you were in that day. We had Willie Anderson on last year. On last year. And I remember telling him, I said, look, I'm very excited that you're on the show, but I'm not going to lie to you. I could BS through a quarterback conversation. I can't BS an offensive line conversation. So I'm not going to pretend to know what leads to why the Bengals, when they're horrific on the offensive line, Joe Mixon has his best seasons. But when they fix the offensive line, all of a sudden he can't run the football as efficiently. Obviously, pass block, run block has a lot to do with it. Guys are brought in. They're bringing in the type of guys that they need to protect Joe Burrow, even if it's at the expense of the run game. That is something to keep in mind, too. Getting that right, getting that perfect combination of guys who could pass block and run block, that's key for the Bengals as well, because I know they're so worried about protecting Burrow. They have almost done it to the expense of the run game, and may have found out that everyone put the blame on Mixon. If we end up finding out that Moss is average this year and the run game's average this year, it might not be a personnel thing. It might be a scheme thing, and that might be something that the Bengals have to address a year from now.
That would be scary. That'd be scary. That'd be scary if you're a Cincinnati Bengals fan. That'd basically be saying hey, man, what we've been doing these last couple of years has been all wrong. Even though obviously it paid off a ton by getting to the Super Bowl, you want to have a balanced attack. I know we're so enamored with the passing game, the long bomb, the crossing routes, all that great stuff. That's great. Got to be balanced out here, man. Got to be able to run the ball, because guess what? September, great weather. October, great weather. Come January, February, when you're playing in Buffalo, Kansas City, you got to be able to run that rock.
Joe Mixon to Houston. What do you make of that?
From one Buckeye to another Buckeye. Look at him. Joe Mixon is so fortunate to be playing with the Ohio State Buckeye quarterbacks.
Yeah, but no, forget it. Forget it. But we're going to find out. It's going to be wild, too, if Mixon goes and he had a 1,000-yard season last year. He wasn't horrible. He just wasn't as explosive. But if he goes and has a great year for Houston, all of a sudden, we're going to have a different conversation. I'm not a fan of Houston's offseason so far. I saw they're getting a lot of A's, and that probably means they are having a good offseason, because I'm the flash guy, right? That sounds very weird and creepy. I'm not flashing people, folks. My bad.
Let's read.
I'm going to take a little vacation for a couple months if I ain't careful here. But bottom line, no, like I'm one of those, like, if you're not going out to get the biggest names out there, I'm not, impressed or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so that's kind of where I'm at right now with Houston. But Joe Mixon, an okay addition. But again, who else they add on top of that? Houston just has underwhelmed me. I just thought with C.J. Stroud, the way he played last year, we saw, and to Joe Burrow, like when bad teams just blow up because of quarterback play, all of a sudden they're a destination. And that has not been the case so far for the Houston Texans. So we'll see what happens. I can't even tell you the moves that they've made, to be honest with you.
I can't tell you either.
I mean,
so it's probably stuff in the trenches. They do have a defensive-minded head coach, so they're probably getting better on the offensive, defensive line. That's probably where they're going to be doing most of their damage. So, yeah, you're right. Like, those type of guys don't make the splashy hires or signings, stuff like that. The guys that catch touchdowns and run touchdowns, no touchdowns, that knock people out as they're going across the middle, those are the guys that make big splashy headlines and stuff like that. I'm going to have to see who they sign since you brought it up.
Well, look at that during the break. We'll pick up with that on the other side. Again, Joe Mixon going to the Houston Texans as part of a trade, not a release, going to the Houston Texans. We got Dayton Flyers basketball to talk about coming up around the corner. Reds baseball. We are 2 weeks.
Wow.
We're getting closer and closer to opening day. I did get the green light from Joe Z today. We will be setting up live at opening day. I got the wife to take off work that day.
Look at you.
So now we are going to opening. We weren't going to opening day. Now we're going to opening day.
Are you going to wear a coat?
Well, see, the thing is, like, she is one of those, like, if it's cold out, she wants something to do with it. So it's kind of like,
that's why me and her get along.
Me and my best friend and his wife and Nora, we're all going, but Nora has no problem backing out if it's too damn cold. Like, Nora, she has she does not care if she lets our friends down over there. She will not care. Like, she will not go, because, I mean, to be fair, we are standing outside all day. I mean, from the time our show ended last year, we were out there, from 8 to 10, and then I went to go save a spot for me and my friends over at the Holy Grail, and they didn't get there for another hour and a half. Woo! So what do you do when you're a socially awkward introvert like me? I know that sounds wild. I am an introvert, by the way. I just drink. So then I'm hammered by the time my friends get there. I'm hammered by first pitch, and I'm struggling before the sun goes down. I got to balance it out. I got to find a way to be less awkward. I got to talk to the homeless people or something. I got to find people to talk to. I can't just sit there awkwardly and avoid eye contact with people and feel like they're judging me like you guys are right now. We'll be right back. It's a Kenner and Kev show. 1410 ESPN radio. Not flashing anybody. We'll be right back.
People are talking about Carol Works Tire and Auto Service.
Over the last few years, I've purchased 3 sets of tires from Carol Works. Each time, service has been excellent, from answering questions to scheduling and installation. Thanks for the good work.
Carol Works Tire and Auto Service treats every customer like family and every vehicle like their own. It's about the relationship, not the sale. Carol Works Tire and Auto Service. Large or small, they fix them all. Call 937-461-5441 or visit c-wtire.com.
The very best high-quality used car selection in the area is found at Chevrolet of Troy. Local late-model pre-owned vehicles that are ready to move. All used cars come with a no-charge warranty. That's incredible. This is a quality, hand-picked inventory ready for you to shop today. Check out our digital storefront right now at ChevroletofTroy.com. Chevrolet of Troy has a vehicle of your choice at our full-service premium dealership. We are proud to be your best choice for your next used vehicle purchase. 1375 South Market Street in Troy.
Hey, let me tell you about the advantages of driving with my friends at Cordell Transportation. First of all, for the new year, they're offering brand new equipment to drive. They purchased new equipment, and not a lot of people could say that, but they've got it, and they're ready to roll with you. Cordell Transportation is offering an incredible $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months. If you're an experienced Class A CDL driver looking for excellent benefits, home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freights, then apply today online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
You can score bonus savings on better sleep during Mattress Firm's Friends and Family Sale. Save up to $700 with your extra discount. Plus, get a free adjustable base on select beds.
I lock up my Old Spice Fiji aluminum-free dry spray to keep that 24/7 lasting freshness safe for myself. Fresh coconuts, palm trees in the wind. It's like catching waves in Fiji. Actually, I just talked myself into a refreshing spritz of Fiji. My Old Spice is missing! No!
Progressive presents advice on new teen drivers.
You know, the hardest part about teaching your teen to drive is the chafing from the seatbelt. But the best part is the grip strength you build in your knuckles. Okay, now let's pull out of the driveway.
Here's another tip. Offset a chunk of the cost of adding a teen to your insurance with Progressive's Teen Driver Discount and get a break from the brake. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states or situations.
It's time, basketball bettors. It's March Mania. Justin Kinner here to tell you about BetUS.com. I endorse one sportsbook and casino, and that's BetUS.com. They've been driving to the basket for over 30 years. This year, BetUS has an epic three-pointer, a 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. That's right, the industry's craziest 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Plus, 10% gambler's insurance. And there's even more. BetUS accepts crypto and is offering a massive 200% crypto sign-up bonus. Gambler's insurance and crypto. You don't see that everywhere. March Mania basketball can get even more exciting with their live in-game betting. It's also a blast to check out their casino after the game, where you could get a 250% casino bonus. Get started by visiting BetUS.com or give them a call at 1-800-MyBetUS to learn about all of their bonuses and special offers. BetUS, where the game begins.
It's that time. Start crunching numbers, downloading forms, and finding all those receipts you've stashed away. Getting frustrated yet? Try crunching this number, 543-5770. Arrowhead Tax Service in New Carlisle. The professionals at Arrowhead Tax Service will take the time to ensure you receive the largest refund possible. Visit today for a free consultation at 113 West Jefferson Street in New Carlisle. All military and veterans save 25% off your tax preparation. At Arrowhead Tax Service, our target is your satisfaction.
Frickers tips off the season with a trio of fan favorites. Frickers Street Tacos are back for a limited time. While you enjoy the march to the national championship of college basketball on Frickers TVs, you'll savor the flavor of 3 Frickers Street Tacos. Frickin' Chicken Tacos, Grilled Chicken Tacos, and Mississippi Barbecue Tacos are back for a limited time. While your brackets get busted, smash a personal pitcher of domestic draft for only $6.99. Hurry before time runs out. At the home for fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Don't get stuck gearing up for spring while everyone else is enjoying the warm weather. Invisible Fence brand works in any season, giving your pet the freedom they deserve. Now, visit invisiblefence.com to learn more.
And we are back. It's the Kinner and Kev Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. So I'm like refreshing Twitter over and over and over, and I haven't come across anything.
Slow motion.
Everything that, teams just don't want to get better. The Eagles had Devontae Parker.
Mm-hmm. 1 year deal.
Not a huge move, but a move nonetheless. I still can't get over. Still, the weirdest move to me of the season is the Saquon going to the Eagles. Like, that's good for the Eagles. I just don't know if that was what was best for him. I just felt like Houston was better for him. Where's some other spots you thought Saquon could have really
I always was saying the Buccaneers.
Yeah, you've been okay.
But to the same point we were talking about with guys from the Baltimore Ravens going to the Bengals and to the Steelers, maybe you wanted to stick it to the Giants by staying in the NFC East.
Yeah, I guess like Tiki Barber does radio over in New York. Is it Tiki or
Tiki?
I knew there's twins, and I can't remember which
Rondé
one.
is the other brother.
They're actually twins, right?
Yes.
Okay, I thought so. So So Tiki does the show in New York and basically just said that you're dead to me and all this stuff. But that was like a legitimate like beef. It led to like them going back and forth on social media and all this stuff. And, basically telling him, you're a clown and don't smile when you see me in public and all this stuff. Cause that's the thing about this job too. I learned that very, very early on and I say what you want about me, but I still show up places, even knowing that I've probably rubbed some people the wrong way with and that's fine. That's part of it. Right. Like, so he said, when you see me out and, don't smile when we're at events and other stuff, like, because, they cross paths, especially a lot of, whatever. So anyways, I thought that was interesting that they were kind of going at one another a little bit, but I think Lamar did the same thing. With Stone, but I think he was, I think that was a play off of what was going on in New York. Right.
Yeah. That's what I took it as. I mean, Stone like kind of replied, like they were going at it in the comments or whatever. But I mean, shoot. And maybe it's just like the players and how we view them and how their personalities, that little bit that we know about them, come across. I mean, shoot, everything that we ever see from Lamar is that he's always just like smiling, joking, just having a good time. And just, so even if he tweets something, we probably view it in that sense outside of the time that he was cussing people out on social media when they were talking about his contract. Everything that I see of Lamar is like a happy-go-lucky type of dude. But I mean, seems like it's always business with Saquon Barkley, dating back to his days at Penn State. Seems like he was a straightforward business type of guy. And I mean, he got a pretty good contract with Philadelphia, one of the better offensive lines. It's a heavy run team. He's going to get a lot of production with Philly. And I mean, I really think it was about trying to twofold: get paid, obviously, and stick it to the Giants.
Simple as that. And like that, I mean, but
2 for 1.
And the Cowboys couldn't afford it. The Cowboys are the one, like, I don't understand what they're doing.
They got a lot of guys to pay.
And like but there's no excuse for them. But like, that's the thing. Actually, here's the thing, though. This is why I saw Sean. I know you say this from time to time, say that the cap is just not real. It's real. It just, you can manipulate it to buy more time, but it catches up with you. Like, I'm not delusional. I know the Browns' time is coming. But this is why, would you rather have a team that plays it safe and never toes the line of being aggressive and going over the cap and even rolling over money and all that? Because you're just kicking the can down the road. So what the Cowboys are doing right now, like Dak Prescott, every year there's all this talk of potentially just letting him go, right? Or trading him or this or whatever. Well, the Cowboys want to do an extension with him because if they give him that extension, they can roll the money over and do the signing bonus, the upfront, and then he only, is a couple million against the cap. That's the only reason they want to extend him. It's not because they want him in Dallas long term. It's because it frees up some money. And that's what the Browns keep doing, because everyone's coming at me now. How are the Browns getting all these guys? They were in the negative. They're like -40 and blah, 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 because they just keep restructuring the deals. Now, it's not helping them. It's helping them in the short term, but it will catch up with them in the long term. So there's that. Now, there's other ways around it too. You sign more big contracts, roll that up, cover what you owe, and then start back at zero and then do it all over again. But that only works if you have continuity within the front office, and the Browns have that for the first time in a long time. So we'll see. Some teams could do it, some teams can't. The other thing too is, do you have money up front to do it? The Bengals don't. The Browns do. Doesn't mean the Browns are better than the Bengals. I'm just saying, like, the Browns are fortunate there. But the Bengals are more fortunate to be stable at the most important position, and that's quarterback. I like the addition of Deshaun. If he could just play consistently, that'd be a lot better, right? But we'll see what ends up happening. But the Cowboys are a team that you view as like the Yankees. They'll spend. No, it's an even playing field.
Right.
Like the Cowboys and Browns and Bengals all have this abide by the same rules. The difference, though, is Jerry Jones is cash rich. He could be doing what the Haslams are doing, and he's just choosing not to. He looks rough, by the way. Have you seen a recent interview with him?
I haven't, but I mean, he's like, what, 80 right now, right?
180. I mean, I feel like Jerry Jones never aged. When I'd see like him do interviews and stuff, I'm like, God, I just remember being a kid in the 90s, and he looked the exact same in the 90s. But he did an interview the other day, and I'm like, oh, it's catching up with him. Age is catching up with him. Just think you'd have that urgency to try to,
Jerry Jones
I'll let the next
81,
owner take care of it. 81
years young. I think it's a matter of pride as well. Like, I mean, how many times do we have the talking heads argue about how good Dak Prescott is? I mean, they didn't want to pay Dak before. You think he really want to pay Dak Prescott $65 million? And you really think he wants to pay, I don't know what the number would be, just cut Dak a one fat check for $80 million right there on the spot to get under the cap? I think it's a pride thing. Like, man, nah, dude, I'm not doing that. Yep. I mean, shoot, how many times well, I can speak for myself. I've been shopping before and saw a pair of shoes that I really, really, really wanted. But I see the price tag and I was like, man, I like him, but I don't like him that much. That's got to be how he's feeling about Dak. It's got to be, because he's had no problems ever coughing up money for other guys. I mean, dating back to, Emmitt Smith, and he held out after they won the Super Bowl. They lost the first 2 games of the regular season, signed Emmitt Smith, then went on to win the Super Bowl. But I mean, you're looking at it like, I just think that it has a lot to do with, like, man, I just don't want to do this. I don't want to give him this one lump sum because I don't think that he's that good enough to give him this type of money. I think if Parsons was the guy that he was about to cut a check to, I think he'd be more willing to do it. I think he would be more willing to do it if it was CeeDee Lamb. But the problem is, it's CeeDee Lamb, Dak, and Michael Parsons all up at the same time.
Basically, kind of like the Bengals situation: Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and then Hendrickson's going to be asking for more money here within a year.
And they just gave money to Zach Martin last year. Remember, he held out. Yeah. Cowboys held. Yeah.
So it's a similar situation where the Cowboys are very good. Like, the Bengals are being punished for drafting well in those couple drafts. The Cowboys are also punished for that same thing. Like, say what you want about the Cowboys. People act like, oh, they only buy their rosters. No, Cowboys fans get pissed because they don't spend enough money with their roster as far as going. They like to build it internally. That's why, like, I laugh at the Cowboy reputation. People act as if they're the Lakers or the Yankees or these teams that have to buy their championships. You know what I mean? Like, that's really not what the Cowboys do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a false perception of what they do. They're stubborn to a fault. They don't like to go add free agents. They just don't. I mean, they'll do it if they have to, but they take pride in taking care of guys that they draft and develop more so than going to kind of like the Steelers and some of the other organizations. So it's interesting nonetheless. But nonetheless, all right, it's the Kinner and Kev show here on 1410 ESPN Radio. I want to talk Dayton Flyers basketball. I want to get this off my chest. I want to get it out of the way.
Oh, boy.
Daron Holmes was named Player of the Year of the A-10 today.
Rightfully so.
Well, Co-Player of the Year. And that sucks because being named Co-Player of the Year, that means you owe the A-10 money. That means your team loses a seed line. That means you're no longer eligible for the NBA draft. That means fans aren't allowed to buy tickets to turn. Oh, wait, no. All that's crap. That's not true at all. In fact, nothing changes. It impacts nobody. Daron Holmes is not a victim. Daron Holmes was not screwed over. Daron Holmes, no one was out to get him. My gosh. I get, and every fan base is entitled. I get that. But it doesn't surprise me that some of the Dayton Flyers fan base are very entitled. It doesn't surprise me that they're having a hard time comprehending the concept of sharing. That's really what this comes down to. Sharing the Co-Player of the Year award. They didn't say Daron Holmes isn't good or anything. We're going to talk about this because I believe that, the coaches vote on this. The coaches know more than me, you, and the people listening. I don't think the coaches are ignorant, as I was called today, and all this other stuff. So, yeah. Well, but let's talk about this. Was Daron Holmes screwed as being named Co-Player of the Year out of the A-10? What am I missing? I mean, it is what it is. I don't understand, what was bad about this. He won Player of the Year. What are we doing here? We'll be right back. It's the Kinner Kev. I got former Flyers ripping me on social media, calling me a lazy reporter. And I'm like, I'm not even a reporter. Might be lazy, but I'm not a reporter. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Well, the forecast says partly cloudy and 45 tonight. Wednesday, partly sunny and 71. Thursday, showers likely and 72. I'm Rick Schrempf for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hungry for a great time? Maybe some great food? Then come on down to your neighborhood Submarine House. Try our oven-toasted deli subs, our mouth-watering salads, pizzas, appetizers, and more. And wash them down with a unique selection of craft beers while watching the big game on our big screens. With locations around Dayton, in Columbus, and our newest sports bar in Kettering, you're never far from a Submarine House. Subs, sports, spirits, Submarine House.
Did you know that although our name may be Carol Works Tire, we're more than tires? We're one of the leading service centers in the area, from personal vehicles to fleet maintenance. We'll keep you on the road. Come see us at Carol Works Tire. Did you know that Carol Wirtz specializes in servicing mixed fleet vehicles? We keep your business moving by tailoring our service programs to meet your company's specific needs. Let us keep your fleet on the road with Carol Wirtz Tire.
Can't sleep with this cold.
Honey.
Honey?
Honey, you need NyQuil Severe Honey.
NyQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a dreamy honey taste.
Feeling better, honey? Honey? I'll take that as a yes.
Try NyQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu symptom relief. NyQuil Severe with honey flavor. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever. Honeylicious, best sleep with a cold. Medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ziprecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ziprecruiter.com/free.
I wish I could get this stupid jar open.
Jars can be tough, am I right?
Who are you? And how'd you get in my kitchen?
It's me, Flo, and I'm here to grant your wish of easily switching to Progressive and helping you get a discount that honors the time spent with your previous insurer.
Great, but what does that have to do with getting this jar open?
Nothing.
So you can't open this?
Oh, I just do insurance. Jars, I leave to the professionals.
Sign up for Progressive and opt into more savings. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
I'm Terry Krupp of Laird's Tax and Accounting, serving this area's tax and accounting needs for over 80 years. One of the most rewarding aspects of our jobs as tax preparers
A chain of events that began 2 hours ago is about to change Kyle's whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
Hungry for a great time? Maybe some great food? Then come on down to your neighborhood Submarine House. Try our oven-toasted deli subs, our mouth-watering salads, pizzas, appetizers, and more. And wash them down with a unique selection of craft beers while watching the big game on our big screens. With locations around Dayton, in Columbus, and our newest sports bar in Kettering, you're never far from a Submarine House. Subs, sports, spirits. Submarine House. All right, and we are back. It's the Kinner and Kev Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. My gosh, someone already said F you to me.
Huh? What'd you do?
He said, F you. If it was your two boys at Wright State, you would be having a fit. You let us know every day their 1,000-point scores. They're 2,000-point scores. Both of them scored 2,000-point scores. They're the only team in the country to have 2,000-point scores. Get it right, John. In the Horizon League, you keep showing yourself every day. That would be weird. Soon you will have no listeners. I mean,
hey,
the show ends at 6, so then the listeners will go do their own thing. Love you too, John.
They won't listen for me and my hot takes.
So this stemmed from today. I actually didn't even think this was a hot take. I never even said anything bad about Daron Holmes. I was questioning why this was such a big deal. Let me ask you, is sharing player of the year with somebody that big a deal? I don't think that
it is. It is. Like,
well, then screw you too, Kev. No. What?
Because like it just goes back to like, all right, who's the better player? Who's number one? Like, I remember when Karl Malone and John Stockton won the All-Star Game MVP. I remember when Grant Hill and Jason Kidd won co-rookie of the years. It's like, just make a decision. And why are we having even number of people vote? If we have like an odd number, then we should be able to figure this whole thing out, right? As far as Daron Holmes is concerned, I don't have a big deal with him being player of the year, because 9 times out of 10, the player of the year comes from whoever wins the conference and their best player. 9 times out of 10. I think Daron Holmes is so good that they had to give him player of the year. Because he was so good. Like, well, hold on. Like, they finished 1 game back of first place in the conference. He's super good. Let's just scratch all the awards that he's going to be picking up, all the watch list that he's part of. Let's scratch the fact that he's going to be an NBA draft pick. Scratch all that. Let's just talk about what he did on the court. He is an outstanding player, so he deserves to be recognized.
Yeah.
But we still have to honor the fact that Richmond did win the conference, so their best player got the award too. I don't have a big deal with it.
This happens in a lot of leagues. So, I will bring up Wright State in this situation. They played Northern Kentucky in that quarterfinal game, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had a player named Marquez Warwick. Yes.
Thanks for the reminder.
Because you know how good it is. He, to me, was the best.
He just
player.
hit another 3.
He was the best player in the league this year. I don't even think it's close. He didn't win player of the year because their team was in 4th. And Oakland, who won, and Townsend's really good, okay? He won player of the year. Good player, but I don't think he had remotely close to the year that Marquez Warwick had.
Right.
There's a lot of even coaches who wouldn't go on record said that as well. And that's okay. Like that, but that's just, it's like what you said. That's how it works. So that was my point earlier today. I want to make this clear. Great point, Kev. No, it's not a great point. It's what I said, and I had everyone yelling at me. It's the same damn point. It's a great point. No. Let me restart. It's a great point. Why can Kev say the same damn thing as me, and it's a great point, but when I say it, I'm a jerk. I have John sending letters to me. Oh, it's a great point. I agree with Kevin, but it's the same point that I made on social media today in a non-trolling way, and I got crucified. It was a bloodbath. It was a bloodbath. Can I read my tweet? Can I read my tweet? So this was my tweet.
I'm here till 5.
So 6. So Daron Holmes, by the way, won Co-Player of the Year, and Daron Holmes is the best player in the A10. That's not up for debate. Jordan King from Richmond won Co-Player of the Year. Jordan King's pretty damn good, but there's not if you ask Richmond, okay, heading into next year, you want Jordan King back, or if you had a chance to get Daron Holmes, who would you get? His own coach would send Jordan King packing. Okay. I know Daron Holmes is the best player in the league. It is okay that he won Co-Player of the Year for what we just talked about right here. Now, so when that came out, I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, Co-Player of the Year. Yeah. I remember watching the Dayton Richmond game, a while back. And even during the broadcast, they were pulling up Jordan King's stats and stuff and saying he was in the running for Player of the Year as well, to keep an eye on him. Well, he was just as consistent and just as efficient for his team as what Daron was for his. But we all know Daron's the best. Also, if that's being said, like if Daron comes back the next 2 years, he's automatically going to be the best player in the league. So why even vote on it at the end of the year? Just give it to him then if that's the case. That's not how this works. The coaches voted on it, and it's a tiered system too. So like the order, like you get points for each vote, and so that means one coach. The reason it ended up in a tie is because one coach didn't vote for either of them. That's basically what this comes down to.
So
as
would
well.
it voted for somebody from
yeah, I don't even know. I would assume so. And there's no way. And I like the Norris kid, and there's no way in hell that kid was. I like Norris. His brother plays for Wright State too. But there's no way he should have been in it. That would be my guess as far as to who it was. So Daron Holmes gets Co-Player of the Year with Jordan King. I'm sorry. And so this was the tweet I put out there. I was like, people are freaking out over the A10 naming Daron as Co-Player of the Year. The question is why? I said, I agree. This is what's wild. I said, I agree that Daron was the best player in the league. No doubt. However, splitting it with the best player on the top team in the league semi-justifies it. I wasn't saying that that's how I would have rolled. I agree that Daron, it is weird. He won Offensive Player of the Year. He won Defensive Player of the Year. But Co-Player of the Year. It doesn't, I get why people are, but it's no different than in the NFL. Whoever wins the MVP should also win Offensive Player of the Year, but it doesn't work that way.
Right. So it was more that it was Daron's award and they gave King the co-part.
Yes.
Because he swept all the other things. So they kind of threw him and Richmond a bone to say, all right, we know that you won, but he's so damn good. What do you want us to do? This happens across sports.
Yes.
I mean, look, I'm a huge Lamar Jackson fan, but I think everybody and their mom knows that Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback. But the Ravens were the number one team. They were the number one team. And the best player on that team got the MVP in the NFL. That's how it works. You reward winning. I mean, we were on here a couple weeks ago or months ago talking about, breaking down the MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. I personally think that TJ Watt is the best defensive player in football. I think he had a better year than Myles Garrett. But I reward winning. I would have gave my vote to Myles Garrett because his team won more than TJ Watt's team. You have to reward winning, and Richmond won the conference.
So that was my other point I was making to people. I said, let's keep in mind, if Dayton, the only top 25 team in the A10, if they win the league like they're supposed to, they were the favorites coming in. To me, if them as a team, I didn't blame Daron. Now this is where, in my back and forth with people, it got misconstrued as me blaming Daron for them not winning the league. No, and Kev could back me up on this. I've said on many, many occasions, if Daron's not on this team's a last place team in the A10. That's how bad that this team is without Daron Holmes. I said, Daron Holmes, remember, I've said this for weeks. He's the best player in the league, that he should be the player of the year. And, I like how Kev worded that. Daron Holmes is not a Co-Player of the Year. Jordan King is the co-player of the year. Daron's the player of the year. Like we can all agree on that. There's no reason to have all these people like Mr. Ortez and all these guys coming at me. Where did Donna go? I haven't heard from Donna. Donna, I hope you're doing well. She goes, consider the source, Justin. So yes, I do consider who it's coming from. That's why I'm not really taking it too personal. In fact, it's my entertainment, to be honest. Donna, by the way, I do have, speaking of Daron Holmes, Daron had an event and I got a Daron Holmes shirt and I got it in a extra small for Miss Donna over here. So Donna, I have you a Daron Holmes shirt, by the way. So at the next event, I promise you I will get you that shirt. I promise, but that's not the point here. Focus, Ken, or back to this. I just wanted to tell Donna. So I say all of this because I blame Dayton coming up short to season expectations in the A-10 for why he ultimately didn't come away with the award himself, because it goes back to what Kevin and I talked about. The only reason Jordan King got the co-player of the year is because they won the league.
Mm-hmm.
But then the next level for some Flyer fans, not all of them, but the crazy ones on social media where I live, all right, they're coming at me saying, oh, not so fast, Kenner. They didn't win the league. They shared it. Okay, what are we doing here? Like, now we're splitting hairs. What are we doing here? They split it. Fine, they split it. But you know what they also did? They lost to Richmond. They lost to Richmond. And on top of that, if you go back and look, and I watched that game just like you all did, technically, Jordan King outplayed Daron in that game, unfortunately. Daron had 9 points.
Oh, that was the
bad game.
Yeah, that was a bad game.
He had a bad game. You're allowed to have a bad game, but consider, and I think coaches do this too.
That was the one where they scored like 18 points at the half or something like that.
I don't know. No. They had 15 points at that. God, was that the Richmond game?
I think it was the Richmond game because that was the one on the road because they stormed the court after that game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that so all their losses technically came on the road, as far as that's concerned. But so Anthony Grant at the media availability a little bit ago. David Jablonski posted this on his Twitter account or his X account, and this was Anthony Grant's response to Daron Holmes winning co-player of the year.
Daron, I think just really proud of him. For 3 years, he's kind of been a great ambassador for our program, for the university, and for really the A-10, just with how he's carried himself, just the way I think nationally he's kind of put our program in the A-10 on a stage where it's recognized nationally. I think when you look at the fact that he was, 5 times A-10 Player of the Week, 3 times National Player of the Week. He's one of the, 15 finalists for the Wooden Award. He's on the list of 20 guys that are one of the finalists for the Naismith Award. I think he was named 2nd team All-American today by Sporting News, 3rd team All-American by ESPN, 3rd team All-American by Field of 68. He's a guy that's one of the 5 finalists for the Carl Malone Award. I think just what he's meant to this program, what he's meant to the A-10, just really proud of Deuce.
I forgot to tease it as we're going to be joined by Anthony Grant coming up. I didn't do that correctly. So yeah, he's all those things. No one's debating that. I don't know. I get as a coach, you're campaigning for your guy, but that should have come out a week ago. If that's the case, I don't get why we're so angry. And again,
you thought Coach was angry?
No, but it was one of the, not only angry, he didn't sound angry, but it's almost just like I don't know, almost like, well, I don't know why he's co-player of the year because he's all these things. No one thinks else otherwise. Why can't I don't know why we're perceiving this as because Jordan King was named co-player of the year, that is discrediting anything that Daron accomplished. I said this, and this is where I'm going to get heat for this, and I'll take, if you want to get mad at me for this, fine. Anthony Grant, I blame you. You not having your team ready to play on the road. You guys hide at home, and you get all your wins at home. They didn't beat a good team in the A-10 until the very last game of the A-10 season. Their shortcomings cost him that. If they want to be that upset about it, if fans want to be that upset about it, be upset at the fact that the team couldn't get up to play on the road. They couldn't beat George Mason. They couldn't beat Richmond. They couldn't beat VCU on the road. They couldn't beat Loyola on the road. Those things matter.
They win at Loyola. He's outright.
Yes, I agree.
Outright, without a doubt.
So I'm a Daron Holmes fan. I've actually met Daron. I took a picture with Daron. Daron's actually one of like the nicest athletes. Like I hate that he's so nice because it makes it difficult to like criticize anything that Dayton does. But I think I've done a good job of every time I criticize Dayton, I'm like, but I like Daron. Daron's cool people. He's a good ass player. He's going to the NBA. He's going to be great. He's great now. Winning co-player of the year doesn't mean that negates anything that he's accomplished. That's what I just want to make sure that fans understand. Him winning co-player of the year, it doesn't impact him in any way. It doesn't cost him draft status. It doesn't cost the Flyers a seed line. It doesn't keep them out of the A-10 tournament. All of those things, like there's not one thing that impacts the program, you, the fan, or him, the player, other than his, obviously super competitive spirit of just wanting to win it out. You know what I mean? Like that. Okay, that's fair. But Daron, classy as hell too, just congratulated him on winning co-player of the year. And did the typical, hey, we're focused on the games coming up. And the only one that's doing what he's supposed to is Daron. So shout out to Daron. And I will end it with this. I say all of that. He's the best player in the league. It was warranted to win it outright. But like Kev said, not me, Kev, well, me too, but Kev said it as well. This is sports. This is how I know, Flyer fans, you only follow your team and don't follow all of college basketball, because it's like what Kev said and I've said. This is a common practice throughout sports. If there are two players who are close to winning a player of the year, sometimes, more times than not, the tie goes to the guy that's on the team in first place. And it's not a rule saying that if you're in first place, you have to have the player of the year, because someone brought up the fact when the Flyers won the league years ago that they didn't have a player of the year because they didn't have a player of the year candidate. But if you have a player of the year candidate and you're on the first place team, there you go. Yeah. It's as simple as that. That's all. Not hating any of that. But it is what it is.
Well, all this can be settled by winning the conference tournament,
which they haven't done in decades.
I would like to win the conference tournament. Win the conference tournament, right off into the sunset. Well, not to the sunset, off into the big dance, but win the conference tournament.
So
beat Richmond while doing it. That would be cool.
So exactly, and that's what I hope happens. I think they have to run into Loyola. If I looked at the bracket correctly, I have to go back and relook at it, but I think they would have to play possibly Duquesne right off the bat. I have to go look at it again.
Duquesne.
Duquesne. Shout out to Nate Dave. Nate Dave, if you're listening, I think they might have to play Duquesne when it's all said. But they could potentially run into Loyola in the semifinals and then Richmond over in the finals. And by the way, that's where you want that. The league wants that. I want that. Flyers fans want that. Well, maybe you don't. I don't know. That'd be kind of bad if you lose to them. I'm just saying, like, is what it is. Let's see. John Ortez says, those players have seen the bleep that you have said about the Flyers every day you have been in this town. Okay, we don't need to get into all this. It is what it is. So
is this a town or a city?
It's a city.
That's what I thought.
And but yeah. Dan Flouty on Facebook. So why even vote then? They should just ask Chris Mooney who his best player is and give it to him. Holmes was just named third team All-American by ESPN. King is probably not in the top 100. But see, like, we don't need to bash King either. King's not a bad guy for this, and the coaches vote on this. The coaches also follow that model of, hey, best player on the number one team if he's in the running to win it. No one, like, this doesn't discredit any of that, I guess, is my point that I've been trying to make from the beginning.
So UD would play the win. Oh my goodness, it's convoluted. So Rhode Island and St. Louis, they're playing right now, actually. The winner of that game plays Duquesne on Wednesday at 7:30, and then UD gets the winner of that game Thursday at 7:30 on USA Networks. You should watch the game on USA Networks.
Watch the game. Don't listen to it. Watch the game. What? I thought that's what you were going for.
I was just saying, watch the game.
Troll you
on USA Network.
You're always trolling.
Watch it with your eyes.
All right, it's a Ken and Kev show. 1410 ESPN Radio. The phone lines, I just opened those up. Flyer fans want to jump in, defend your guy, you're more than welcome to. But I do want to clarify on social media because it's my reputation, so I get it. Like, even when I say something that is not intended for that, it's going to be perceived that way, and that's fine. That's on me. But I am clarifying. It was not a trolling statement. It's based on how sports works. We just can't always throw a temper tantrum every time something, blaming officials, blaming Xavier for not letting in the Big East, blaming the conference for having it out for Dayton. Dayton's their ticket, their meal ticket. Why would the conference have it out? That's like when, and by the way, that's like Ohio State, when Ohio State fans used to say that dumb stuff, Kev. Oh, the Big Ten, or the college football playoff. They're out to get us. They don't want us in. They want the SEC. Ohio State is a meal ticket type of team. They got put in the college football playoff over TCU in the very first playoff game ever. Like, what are we talking about? That stuff happens with football all the time. It is what it is. All right, we'll step away for a few moments. We got some red stuff coming up around the corner. Any other NFL breaking news?
Not yet.
Not
I
yet.
just jumped on X, Twitter, Instagram, ESPN. I don't see anything yet.
Interesting. My favorite thing in the world is when me and Kev say the same thing and people hear it differently. And that's my favorite thing. It's awesome. But that's why I was laughing. It's like, no, Kev's wrong. I'm like, no, Kev's not wrong. He's right. That's what I said. I'm just like laughing. All right, we'll be right back. Kenner and Kev, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Many Vietnam War veterans were unknowingly exposed to dangerous chemicals impacting their health and quality of life. There are now expanded benefits for veterans exposed to Agent Orange. Veterans with Parkinsonism, bladder cancer, or hypothyroidism who previously applied for VA disability compensation but were denied should reapply and might be eligible for retroactive compensation. Exposed veterans who have not yet applied should consider filing a new claim. For assistance, call Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801.
It's time, basketball bettors. It's March Mania. Justin Kenner here to tell you about BetUS.com. I endorse one sportsbook and casino, and that's BetUS.com. They've been driving to the basket for over 30 years. This year, BetUS has an epic three-pointer, a 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. That's right, the industry's craziest 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Plus, 10% gambler's insurance. And there's even more. BetUS accepts crypto and is offering a massive 200% crypto sign-up bonus. Gambler's insurance and crypto. You don't see that everywhere. March Mania basketball can get even more exciting with their live in-game betting. It's also a blast to check out their casino after the game, where you could get a 250% casino bonus. Get started by visiting BetUS.com or give them a call at 1-800-MyBetUS to learn about all of their bonuses and special offers. BetUS, where the game begins.
Urology Specialists of Ohio are here for you. Men, your good health is important to them. Their knowledge of specific male anatomy, prostate issues, and how to help in your healing is their main focus. Urology Specialists of Ohio are now accepting new patients at all locations: Beaver Creek, Springfield, Urbana, Xenia, and London. They have been in practice for over 20 years with over 80 years of experience between 5 physicians. Call today. They can schedule your appointment in a timely manner with little wait time. Online at urologyspecialistofohio.com.
Save big money on Clearview Cabinetry at Menards. Clearview Cabinetry starts as a kitchen built for now and grows with you as life changes. It's flexible by design with full access cabinet construction, so you can go from doors to drawers for storage that works when you need it. Explore Clearview's cabinet options and start designing today in-store or on Menards.com, where you can find more of our great deals going on now.
Save big money at Menards.
At Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, we've always been famous for more. More than a time-tested recipe that took decades to develop. More than our secret blend of savory herbs and spices. More than the hand-dipped, hand-battered, fried to perfection chicken you've come to know and love. Because while you may not know it yet, Lee's is famous for fish, too. Get a tasty fish fillet, crispy potato wedges, creamy tartar sauce, and a regular drink at a great price. Only at Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken.
On March 19th, vote Jacqueline Gaines for the role of domestic relations judge in the Republican primary. With 19 years of dedicated service as a litigation attorney, full-time magistrate, and mother in Montgomery County, Gaines brings a wealth of experience to the table. Gaines has consistently exhibited a fair, balanced, and well-reasoned temperament, always approaching cases with empathy and respect for all parties involved. Gaines' track record includes handling complex cases efficiently, all while delivering timely and comprehensible decisions. Gaines is well prepared to step into the role with a deep understanding of the job. Because Gaines had been a full-time domestic relations magistrate for 13 years, Gaines is ready to assist magistrates with guidance when needed and has earned the distinction of being a 2-time Fellowship Award winner. Make your voice count on March 19th and vote for Jacqueline Gaines, the experienced candidate committed to bringing effective and compassionate leadership to the family court. Paid for by the committee to elect Jacqueline Gaines.
When it comes to tax season, we generally see 2 different scenarios. Situation 1, do your taxes yourself.
Oh, $1,400? Oh,
Situation number 2, we do your taxes for you.
I'm getting back $1,400? Oh,
see, we can save you money. Take a little back this year.
Arrowhead Tax Service will help you save money. 113 West Jefferson Street in New Carlisle. All new clients save 10%. Online at arrowheadtaxservice.com.
When it comes to audiobooks, Audible has the best selection without exception. Your first one is free when you sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com.
Kettering Overhead Door thanks our local police, firefighters, and medical staffs for their courage and the sacrifices they make to keep our community a safe place to live, work, and raise our families. This reminder courtesy of the employees at Kettering Overhead Door at 4155 Hempstead Station in Kettering, where the professionals make windows, doors, and overhead doors. Call 937-293-6477. That's 937-293-6477 for Kettering Overhead Door. They care about the safety and future of the first responders who proudly serve our community and wish everyone a safe and happy year.
Sneezing, coughing, stuffy nose, runny nose, postnasal drip, interrupted sleeping. I was groggy at the end of the day.
Allergies and sinus congestion were making Jana miserable. Then a friend recommended Navage. Navage provides immediate drug-free congestion relief, flushing your nasal passages with refreshing saline and sucking out mucus, germs, and other airborne irritants. Navage helps you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel your best right away.
Navage gave me instant relief. I didn't have to wait 30 minutes. I didn't have to wait an hour, 90 minutes. I didn't have to wait a minute. I ran the rinse and I felt better.
Stop suffering from congestion and start breathing and feeling your best again with Navage. Navage.
I've had people ask me how I find relief, and I tell them Navage immediately. This thing is amazing.
Navage is available at Navage.com or at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid.
And we are back. It's the Kinner and Kev show here on 1410 ESPN Radio. So Kev always gets on me because I just live on social media, and I let social media get to me way too much. And I do. But I always like to read some of the stuff to Kev just so he understands why I get so frustrated. So we talked about, do not bash Daron. Like Daron is, I think the one thing I know we all agree on, Daron's the best player in this conference, no doubt. But it can't just be, we know who the best player in the conference is heading into the year in and year out more times than not. So it can't just be, well, Daron's the best player, so he automatically gets it. He got it. At the end of the day, he still got it. It's right. Just that it wasn't so much Daron didn't do enough to win it outright. It's just that's how good a season King had on the top team. So, this comes from Jack Miller, saying that one is climbing NBA draft boards and is an All-American. The other was second in the A-10 behind Daron in almost every category. Plus, Daron played 120 less minutes. It really isn't close and takes credibility away from the league.
We got to remove the whole NBA thing. Now, you have to remove that. That has absolutely nothing to do with what you're doing in college. This is a college game. This is not a pro game. If we want to just simply reward the best player every single year going into it, or the best player no matter what, we all know he's the best player. Well, then, you know how many MVPs Michael Jordan would have? You know how many MVPs LeBron would have? Just because, hey, man, they're the best. But, hey, man, it doesn't pan out throughout the regular season of play.
Yep.
Regular season has to matter for something, and winning has to matter. Richmond won or was co-champions of the regular season. You have to reward that.
And reward winning. They beat Dayton, and he outplayed Daron in that game. Of course, like we talked about earlier, because I have to keep putting disclaimers out because people get upset. Even if you went to Richmond's coach and said, okay, you could pick for next season King on your roster or Daron, you can't have both. He's picking Daron 10 of 10 times. It doesn't mean that King was not worthy of being named co-player of the year when they beat Dayton head-to-head. He outplayed Daron head-to-head. They finished ahead of Dayton and Daron in the standings. They won the conference, even if it was co-conference champs. Well, he's co-player of the year. I mean, we could do this all day. Let's see another one. This is, and half these, and I should learn by now not to give attention to the ones that don't even have the guts to use their real name, but bear with me on Twitter says, let's see the two players battle it out one-on-one. Holmes would embarrass King. Quit talking nonsense. I like, what are we doing here? Let's see. This is from Barry Lurd, not Larry Bird, but Barry Lurd. What are you guys talking about? Only 5 of the last 12 A10 player of the years have been on the team that won the regular season title. It doesn't and shouldn't have any effect. Use the wrong one. That the team does when naming a player of the year. First of all, we never said that it automatically goes to a player that's on the number one team in the regular season. But when you have a player that's in the running, and they're on the top team in the conference, and they win the head-to-head against the other guy that's in running, and they outperform that guy in the running, yes, that's usually going to elevate them into the conversation a little bit more. And the way that they're acting, Kev, is as if Daron didn't win it at all. That's the problem I'm having with this. It's like they feel like he got robbed of something. He didn't get robbed of anything. He's still the player of the year. Let's see. Alex Kramer on Twitter says, maybe, and this is our response to our conversation here. Alex Kramer says, maybe because UD is the only at-large and relevant team in the A10 this year, Daron is likely an All-American and objectively best player in the league, NBA prospect. It's a slap in the face. A10 just gave him and UD a lot of motivation.
Now, the motivation part, I mean, I'm sure there are people on the team and maybe even Daron, maybe even coach, like, are using that as motivation to win the conference tournament. If that's what you got to use, I'm all for it. I want to see them win the conference tournament. And I mean, shoot, you can rub it in their face. I mean, shoot, how many times have we, seen the Michael Jordan meme? I took it personally. Like, hey, if UD, the basketball team, is taking it personally and want to go ahead and prove the fact that, Daron is the best player in the league, they have the opportunity to go out there and win the conference tournament. And then what they'll say? Nothing. They can't say anything. They should have went to Daron and you went and proved it on the court. And I would have absolutely no problem with that at all. I want them to win the conference tournament. I want them to go to the Final Four. We are actively rooting for them. So make sure you watch the game on USA Networks on Thursday.
I'm not. Not after dealing with this mess today.
Why are you taking it out on the team and taking away from your pleasure of watching some good basketball?
Fair.
Because you're letting the computer in your hand dictate your outcome.
Fair. But you didn't have a UD fan say F you to you.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. Maybe I did. I just don't check my mentions.
But the problem with this tweet that into the show about, maybe because UD is the only at-large and relevant team, well, then maybe the only ranked relevant at-large team in the A10 should have beat Richmond, should have beat VCU the first time, should have beat George Mason. I know I'm missing another one in there. Should have beat Loyola. Like, that's what this comes down to. I'm not arguing, by the way, just to set it one more time. King is not better than Daron Holmes, but King was worthy of being named Co-Player of the Year, because he is why that team won the regular season. He outplayed Daron. He helped beat Daron, and the only, according to Flyer fans, the only relevant at-large team in the A10 and only top 25 team in the A10. Yes, you're the only top 25 team in the A10, but there was 2 non-top 25, unrelevant, non-good programs, apparently, according to you, that finished ahead of the Flyers. And I'm not saying this other guy said, so that should punish Daron Holmes. No, but he's not punished because he was named Player of the Year.
Right.
He hasn't been punished.
And Defensive Player of the Year.
And Offensive Player of the Year. And Kobe Bryant, shout out to him, 6th Man of the Year. My apologies. Should have brought that up too. He was, no doubt.
He just hit another 3.
Yeah. Like, and we could talk about Daron, but like the Flyers will only go deep in the A10 and NCAA tournament. They'll go as far as not what Daron takes them, because you know what you get with Daron. They're only going to go as far as what Kobe Bryant and the 3-point shooting ability does. I mean, they beat VCU the other night. By the way, they look like a fun offense the other night. They were pushing tempo. They were getting the ball out and running. In fact, they tied it up and took the lead late in that overtime because of Elvis in the corner, but they got that shot in transition because, hey, they actually didn't get a rebound and just walk it up the floor and throw the ball, allow the defense to get in position to front Daron or take Daron off the block and force him to have to get. No. Dayton said, screw that. They got the ball and pushed tempo, and boom, off they went and made it happen as far as that's concerned. All right, we could do a couple more. This guy says, watch the games. It's not really close, but also who cares? We are in the NCAA tournament and they aren't. That you know of, they might win. They might beat you guys again in the A10 championship game. They might get in and you get in. I don't know. But nonetheless, okay. Wrong. It's a Player of the Year award, not an MVP. For an MVP, you consider team performance, but that's what you want it to mean. But there's not in writing that that's the case. This is, no offense, Kev, this is kind of like when Florida State fans and I got into it because you kept saying winning should matter. And I said, I agree, but there is not anywhere in the rule book that says being an undefeated conference champion has to get in. Just because, in this Daron situation, saying that, that this is the difference between MVP and Player of the Year, it all is the same.
Go Noles.
It's all the same. But it is what it is. Let's see. Ron Howard said, Justin, I thought you went to Wright State, not FU. Ron, you make some funnies every once in a while, not all the time. Ryan Roth said, who averaged the most points per game? Who had the most double-doubles? That guy gets it. I'm assuming it was one of the guys that tweeted at us. What do you say to that?
I got nothing. I'm tapped out on this, man.
Oh, you know me. I can go for hours.
I'm tapped out, man.
That's fair. That's fair. We're done. We're done with it.
He won Co, and he's going to the tournament. And they have an opportunity to win the A10 tournament. And if we're concerned about like Daron and all the other facets of life, he's going to the NBA as well. Yeah. Congratulations.
And we
are rooting for you.
And I'm rooting for Daron. One more time, I'm rooting for Daron. Ortez says Kevin has probably played and did not sit on the bench or cost his team a game from the bench. Whatever, Kiner, you're the one. Why is it the guys that can't spell and can't read and can't speak like all of a sudden have the most to say? John,
I would tell
check.
you this. There's only one person in this room that played varsity basketball in high school, and it wasn't me. I got cut not once but twice from my high school basketball team. I have no left hand.
I played for Mark Ashman at Wright State, so there's that.
Man. And he played in college
at the Lake, fake college basketball, but I didn't get cut, and I got minutes, and I could shoot, and I played for the Harlem Globetrotters.
This is true.
And John coached 7th grade girls basketball.
But could you dunk?
Yeah.
But could you dunk?
No, I can't even touch the net.
I could dunk.
Sometimes when they put the fresh net up, you know how like before
a volleyball.
Before it like stretches out and it like kind of hangs real low, I would try to see if I could get that second row of the net, is what it is. Let's see what else. Last one here. Tim says nobody is undefeated in college basketball. Teams do have ups and downs. Have you ever played before? It's a long. Can we stop with the moronic? Have you ever played before? It doesn't take someone to play college basketball, especially Tim, because I know you didn't play college basketball either. So I have no clue why that's your response to that. The bottom line is I know that there's ups and downs to a season, but that's what everything goes into the pot of how this is deciphered. Like why are the coaches supposed to sit back and say, well, it's a long season for the Dayton Flyers, but it's not a long season for Richmond? What are we doing here? He goes, I played college football. Then let's talk college football because you're not making any sense as far as college basketball is concerned.
Go Buckeyes.
Yeah, no kidding. Let's see. Ryan Roth, Kinner shows up to the court and they ask who brought the jockey. Okay. Is that a short joke? I'm too fat to be a jockey. Thank you very much. Why the hell are you laughing? Tag team champions. That's what this. We're supposed to be a team.
I've never heard that one before. That's a good
one. Shaw, where did Shaw go? Shaw jumped in here somewhere. Shaw says, this is how dumb the argument with Wright State and Dayton truly is. It got Kinner and I to agree more than we ever have on any topic. Yeah.
Right her up, baby.
Smart guy. I've ever told you how smart Shaw is. He knows his stuff. It is what it is. But
boom.
All right, but like I said, at the end of the day, it doesn't surprise me that it's not all of you, but most of you are pretty entitled being Flyer. I mean, like, it doesn't surprise me that the concept of sharing is something that you guys are having a problem comprehending. I completely get it. You grew up very rich. You've never been told no before. This is when you don't get your way, you throw social media temper tantrums. I get it. I know what I'm dealing with. It's okay. Kinner 1, Flyer fan 0. Undefeated again. Kev, what's your record? You're undefeated?
I'm undefeated. I'm always undefeated because I don't get into it.
You can't lose games you don't play.
I don't get into it.
Now, good stuff. Dayton plays when again?
Thursday, 7:30 on USA Network.
Duquesne, probably.
Probably.
Nonetheless. All right. Good stuff, folks. Hour number 3 coming up next.